All right, what's up, guys? So we're here in Dubai, the last night of an eventful 7 full days. And so what had happened over the course of the last week was there was a 3-day mastermind from a current mentor of mine. If I said his name, you guys would know absolutely 100% who he is. He does roughly $500,000 a month in both info and his agency. And so I want to talk to you guys about a couple key lessons that I took away, and hopefully you guys can take this and say to yourself, I can somehow use what Marco just said in my life, in my own agency, and by extension, give you hopefully some more clarity, some values, maybe some tactics into the agency space, and we can kind of go from there. So, first off, you're thinking too small. 1,000,000% you're thinking way too small. You're thinking on a short time horizon, you're thinking on a very small monetary goal. For example, I set out on my agency journey to make $100,000 each and every single month moving forward. As soon as I got into the room with people who were doing multi seven figures a year, several hundreds of thousands of dollars each and every single month, I said to myself, my goal of 100K in just 30 days, 100K a month agency, that is awfully, terribly small. And when you put yourself in the room with these people who are saying, yeah, I'm looking to add an extra $200,000 a month to my agency. Yeah, I'm looking to, hire, 5 to 10 more team members over the course of the next 2-3 weeks. Where it's just the timelines are shortened, the financial goals are way bigger. You implicitly and subconsciously say to yourself, wow, I was thinking too small. And so what had happened now is I set a goal for myself that honestly scares me, because you should too. You should set goals for yourself that scare you. Say to yourself, wow, okay, I slightly have some sort of fear when it comes to this goal that I have in mind. Think about it right now. If you're doing, let's say, $20,000 a month with your agency, and you set out to make $50K a month in the next 2 to 3 months, if I said to you, how about we aim for $500,000 in a single month? You'd be like, you might not even accept that as a truth. You might reject it. And this is another thing that's really cool too as well, is at each stage of the journey, there are going to be different epiphany moments and different realization moments where your identity changes. For example, in my own agency, I'm spending $100 a day in ad spends. $100. And I said to myself, yeah, we're going to start to slowly scale that over time. Once we're profitable on the front end, 2.5 to 3x ROAS at bare minimum, then we can start to scale, double down on the winners, turn off the losers, and kind of just rinse and repeat the cycle from there. But after the masterminds, there was so much clarity and so much more urgency in what you're doing. Take the timeline in which you want to accomplish your goal and cut it in half, or even a quarter. So if you said to yourself, I want to make $100,000 in 6 months, how about less than 2? What levers do you have to pull to get you there quicker? Every single time you have a goal, question the status quo, question the deadline. And so going back to my example, when it comes to the ad spend aspect, I was doing $100 a day, was going to start to scale once I'm profitable. And then after the mastermind, when I heard these people doing multi-6 figures a month saying, you need more urgency, you need more clarity, you need to stop being patient, I tripled my ad spends. Well, not yet, it's scheduled for next week, but I tripled my ad spends. And so that feels scary to me. Spending $300 a day feels scary to me. That's where I'm at. But every single time that you have these realization moments and these new levels and you keep going up, your identity changes. The status quo changes. And when you get to that level, your stress tolerance increases, and you look back down and you're like, wow, I cannot go back down to that level. And so there's a funny saying, in the mentorship or in the mastermind of the group in general, where it's like, if you have a problem, double the ad spends. If you have a problem, increase the ad spends. Who cares? It's just like a one fit fix, solves all. But in your life, if you broke past your 10K month mark and you're just starting out your agency, you're like, holy fuck, this is possible. And you look back and you're like, I cannot go below $10,000 a month. And so there are different stages as well along the agency. There are different agency stages, and whether it's like 0 to 10K, you need to get everything done, and you need to have urgency. You just need to do massive action, relentless, pure, violent action. And then at like 10 to 30, 40-ish K a month mark, it's delegation. You have to delegate. You cannot do everything yourself. setter, VA, media buyer, whatever it is. And then from that, like that 40, 50 up into the 100K a month mark, CSMs, tech, ops, whatever that might be on the back ends. So the identity that you're going to have will change along the way. Now, another really important thing too is what got you to 10K, 20K, 30K, 100K a month, that risk that you took cannot be slowed down or stopped. So oftentimes I was guilty of this as well. I hit 15K a month, and then everything kind of fell down for 2 to 3 months I came after that, because what had happened in that moment a few months ago was that the things I did to get to 15K a month, I stopped doing at 15K a month. Lo and behold, I lost revenue over the course of the next 2 to 3 months because I didn't say to myself in that moment, oh wow, I'm in the deep end, let's double the fuck down and let's just keep going. I took my foot off the gas. And so when you're in these moments, and you watching this, when you're in this moment with your agency, you have to say to yourself, okay, I'm in the deep end, I cannot swim back to the shallow ends. I'm in a stage of growth, of pain, of high stress, and I need to get out onto the other side, into the next stage of your agency. So you say to yourself, and you have to have a high degree of awareness. I wasn't aware of this in my situation, and hence I kind of lost revenue over the course of the following 2 to 3 months. But moving forward, when you're in the deep ends, you cannot just retreat and contract back to your old identity, back to your old self, because the way the brain works, it's going to continue to pull you back, pull you down into who you once were. And entrepreneurship is simply a journey of self-discovery, and it is about the person you are becoming along the way. And so when you're on that way, on the journey, you're going to retract, and your subconscious is going to pull you back and pull you down. And you have to say to yourself, no, absolutely not. Everything I've ever wanted is on the other side of who I want to become. And that is what we're chasing. That is what we're pursuing at the end of the day on our agency journey. This is another really important thing, or a cool thing that happened was Ibrahim, hypnotist, and he came to speak with us, and he hypnotizes billionaires into success. And if you guys pull him up on Instagram, you'll see he'll be the first person that pops up. But it was a really interesting thought process and exercise. And what had happened was he hypnotized us for roughly 10 to 15 minutes, and it was really about closing your eyes, picturing in 5 to 10 years that version of yourself where you didn't accomplish your goals, you didn't do the things you wanted to do in life, you aren't making the money you want to make, you don't have the girlfriend you want, you don't have the friends that you want, you don't have the love and respect in your relationships that you want. In 5 to 10 years, if you did nothing, what would happen? What would your life look like? And that's uncomfortable. That's the uncomfortable truth that we have to visualize when we set out on this journey. And along the way, your whys are going to change. Your whys, your motivations are going to change. For me, 0 to 10K a month, that was a very dark period. I was locked away 3 months in the basement, negative visualizations, hated my environment, hated a lot that was going on. And the motivations changed for me now. I don't look back at those motivations and use them to the next level in what I'm doing. But what Ibrahim had done to us was visualize that. And those negative emotions, that negative visualization of the life I didn't want, is the push factor. We have push and pull factors. That was the push factor, which incorporated pain. The pull is something that more loving, more dreamful, something that doesn't incorporate pain. And what he had done was take that negative visualization and shrink it away. Think of it like a piece, like a painting, and visualize that painting being pushed further and further and further and further to the point where it becomes so small you don't even see it anymore. Then he took us into positive visualizations. What would your life look like if you did make $200,000 in a single month profit? How could you use that money to help the people around you who you love? What type of life are you living? Where do you live? What type of girlfriend do you have? What type of friends do you have? What type of company and business are you running? What type of leader are you? And that's the life we want. And so I think in this certain situation, it was a really unique thing, and it really made you come to terms with that there needs to be more urgency. And throughout this entire meditation, it's kind of similar to Joe Dispenza's teachings, just slightly different. But I remember speaking to Abraham, and he was like, our attention spans are so short now, we really have to continuously remind ourselves, on a daily basis, whether it's just 5 to 10 seconds, morning, lunch, and afternoon, that this is the life that we want. But it's really about programming your subconscious. And we all know the Carl Jung quote where it goes, if you don't control your subconscious will call you, and you will call it faith, or something along those lines. I might have butchered it, but that's essentially what Abraham was essentially wanting to implement and instill into us, was reprogramming your subconscious. Because at the end of the day, it really does guide your life, and it's 90 to 95% of the decisions that you make. Growing up, you don't question the things that you question. You don't question the firm beliefs that you have. And whether it's like your thoughts around money that was instilled to you by society and your parents, we don't question those things. And it's really about bringing to light these deep beliefs that we have, questioning them, and kind of like reframing them, like what we do on sales calls. But that was a really interesting thing as well. Another thing that is really important as well is like just hearing these people speak. It's a lot different than just being on Zoom calls and in Slack channels talking to these people who are doing, multi-six figures a year. But when you hear them speak and you shake their hands and you're in front of them, talking to them face to face, what it does to your subconscious and what it does to your entire reality of the world, it shifts everything so quickly and gives you so much clarity, because it really does just make you question, why not I? Why not me? If they can do it, so can I. And even if you are a little bit ego-filled, you will say to yourself, fuck them, I could do this too. And so that's kind of the mentality that you honestly should have. Like a lot of guys in this space, that's how they think, that's how they operate. And that's completely fine, because you need that in order to kind of get you to the next level of the game. And so, like, for example, there were a couple people in the room there was an individual who spoke who did close to $400,000 in a single month. And just like hearing him speak and listening to him, rock solid dude, absolutely brilliant. And, he deserves to be where he's at. But at the same time, I'm like questioning in the back of my mind, okay, what type of levers do I need to pull? What type of person do I need to become to get there? And why can't I do this? Like, what's stopping me? Genuinely, what's stopping me? And these are the questions that are hard to confront, because it's like, it's your identity that you're questioning. And as we know on sales calls, identity is who you are as a person. And when you question your identity, you question your existence. And that's why it feels like death. But you have to kill your old self in order to grow. That's the golden nugget. You have to continuously kill yourself, kill your old self in order to grow, and shed off the old parts that you don't want. It's just like going to the gym. Like you go to the gym to stay in the same exact shape that you're in right now? No, absolutely not. You go to the gym so you can fucking look shredded, feel good. So really, this 7-figure masterminds gave so much clarity as well to what I was doing, to what I'm doing moving forward. Now, you watching this, if I said to you, do you know what you need to do in order to get to the next level? You will say yes. Now the question becomes, why aren't we doing what we're meant to do? Identity-based questions. Why aren't you doing what you're doing? Whatever you tell yourself right now, that's probably the smokescreen and the delusion you've told yourself, which keeps you in this habitual lie. So it really does just come back to programming your subconscious into success, taking the necessary actions, putting your environment into your favor, finding like-minded individuals who are on the same path as you, and going back to the clarity aspect. I know exactly what I need to do. Exactly what I need to do. And I'm just staring at the mountain of work in front of me and saying to myself, I'm beyond excited to get over this hump and then see the next peak and climb that mountain. The cycle never ends, guys. It's always gonna be something. So we're all in it for the long term. But this mastermind was incredible. I hope this video helps you guys give clarity to what you're doing, and that my advice moving forward is invest into these groups, invest into these mentorships, because I always say at the end of the day, you either pay with one of two things. You either pay with time or with money. Money is infinite. It's going to come and go. Time, you're only going to get older. If you look back in 2 to 3 years, nothing has changed. Whose fault is that? It's your fault. So that's that. And if anyone has any questions regarding this, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll try to get back to you on, I don't know, whatever question you have. But that's it. All right, I'll see you.